Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast, where I have a very, very special guest today, Kezza, who has been listening to the pod for a while. And we actually met half naked or maybe even naked at a tanning booth. And I remember you coming over and said, can you do a 3-hour episode, please? Because I like the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah, really, like it's got me through so much prep work, everything, just listening to the podcasts.
I often reference how isolating and alone you can feel in regards to, you've got the tunnel vision, you've got that focus on the show, and then you sort of listen to a podcast and you think, oh, wow, there's other people going through these things that I'm going through in a prep.
100%, yeah, definitely. That was the same for me, and especially just to hear a lot about how you talk about the post-show experience, because, you're in that zone getting ready for the show and you kind of don't think about what's going to come after, and it's just so nice and refreshing to hear that it isn't just you, it's everybody going through the same
journey.
Yeah.
Sure. And this was your first year competing, wasn't it? 2022.
Well, it was my first proper year, so I actually only joined the gym last April in 2021 for the first time ever. I'd never done anything bodybuilding related before. So I started the gym in the April. I'd wanted to do bodybuilding because a lot of years ago, my partner, when we first met, said, "You've got a lovely shape. You must have worked out." And I was like, "No, haven't worked out, not lifted a weight ever." And he was like, "Bloody hell, you'd really be good at this." And he'd done that. And I was like, put it to the back of my mind over the years. And a friend of mine who started me on my journey, she was the local Miss Cumbria in the IBFA. So she kind of got me started in the gym. And then I was like, I really would love to do a show. And she said, go for it. So I thought, right, remember, this is in the April and the show was in the September. So I was like, not giving myself much time to do this show. But anyways, in May, I got diagnosed with ADHD. So inattentive ADHD, which, I'd never completed anything from the start to the finish. So I'd kind of gone to school, failed at school, left school, started college, went to do hairdressing, failed at hairdressing because I just could not get my head round the theory side. So I packed that in, went to do something else, same thing right throughout my life, and got to 41 and thought, right, I think one of the things that I could do would be to get on stage. So I thought, I'm going to do this. So anyways, we set off dieting. She'd done all my prep, like my food, and I really enjoyed the structure of planning the food, preparing the food, just because my life is totally chaos. I'm a very organised person, and I think being able to organise my life in that one little part of me was absolutely brilliant. So went through the prep, dieted down, ended up doing 4 shows, didn't skip tone figure and went right into athletic because that was just what my body, obviously, the makeup of me was that. I really enjoyed that, felt I'd overcome something, completed something, and like it was amazing to actually a feeling to feel that I'd actually achieved something for the first time, really.
Yeah, I think it's a relevant point there, what you said, the sort of undercurrent to that of physique development and competing, some people that don't compete even, and sticking to a diet, or competitors that go into off season or improvement season, it gives you that chance to put effort in yourself and get a reward from what you're doing day in, day out. Whereas a lot of things in life are quite superficial. It's actually based on what you put in, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think it was so rewarding just going to the gym. Bearing in mind, I'd never done any kind of training. I didn't really know how to train properly. I wasn't really doing the mind muscle connection at that point when I first started. And I've learned a lot, but my body just responded so well. And it just felt like I was built and made for this sport, really. So then obviously then we went into an off season. I didn't have a coach. Kind of spiraled a bit after post show, just as you do when your first post show, didn't like ate and got bigger.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the strength, and then I kind of like was thinking it was hard to go into the next prep because I was enjoying the strength, and
Yes.
you know, it's a difficult circle, isn't it, that you kind of go into. Then I decided I needed to get a coach because this is where like coaches like yourself, some people aren't able to like plan their food, or you don't know what you're doing. So to have somebody do that for you, I need someone there to tell me what foods to eat, what training plan to do. I need that, like, for me, that's like a main factor of this. I think it's like told what to do.
And of course, you know, in a prep or a diet, you get those feelings of, am I on track? Is everything going how it should? And then you get that in the growth phase as well. Whereas if you've got a coach on board, it's that objective eye and that outsider's point of view. And, you know, if you've got a coach, generally the coach's motivation is to bring the best out in you. So if you can trust that coach, which is a big
Yeah.
you know, it works wonders. And I've said on pods before, you know, it's like your clients become your family. And for me, my coach is like a best friend as well. I'm sure you're the same.
Well, I took a bit of time on looking for a coach because I'm quite indecisive.
Right. Yeah.
Followed a few different people and spoke to a few different people, and then somebody recommended the coach that I have now, and it was like we were made for each other.
Yeah.
Like, I watched her for a bit and I thought, oh my God, I love that food she's eating. I love the things that she's doing. I love, you know, and I kind of like connected. And when we spoke, we just connected, and it was like meant to be. And as we've gone through the prep, it's like she can read my mind sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, I would love to carb up on like bagels and almond butter and stuff. And then the next minute she's sending me like my thing, and it's got everything, Reese cups. She's like, you need Reese cups and Skittles. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you know that I love all of these things? But, you know, it's nice that you connect with a coach, really.
Yeah. Sure. And that what you said there is gold. Have multiple consults. You know, if you haven't got a coach already, or you've got a coach and you're not happy with the service, start looking at having consults with different people and see who you catch the vibe with, because you don't have to sign up with someone because you've had a consult. You know, you shouldn't be feeling pressured to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was great. And then obviously I've had an absolutely fantastic season, which was rather unexpected. I'd had kind of like a bit of a difficult year at the start of the year mentally, and with things happening in my life. And I think I feel like I deserved to have a bit of good luck. And I was really not expecting to win shows like I have this year, but like it just happened. So
I think it's so interesting to speak to athletes that remain humble like yourself, because the success seems so much sweeter because you go into competition with zero expectations, and when you do win, it's a very humbling experience, and it's how it should be.
Oh yeah. And like for me, like I'm new to this sport, and this year I was athletic, and I was thinking, right, I'm going to be a better athletic this year because I'd obviously done an off season.
Yep.
And then I stepped on stage at my first show this year, and they like moved me out of athletic into trained, and I was like, I haven't had a chance in athletic, you know, but like went into trained, and that was like just my category. And I'm competing against people that have like trained and competed for years, and I was winning them. And even them, like there was no bitterness. Like one of the ladies, she'd been competing for years, and she was like, I said, I've only started training last year. She was like, you're joking. The next competition, she wasn't actually competing, but she was like in my corner. She was shouting for me. She was videoing. She was running backstage, like telling me, like, you need to tighten up this, because my coach wasn't, you know. wasn't at that show. And like the backup that you get off other competitors and the support, it's just a brilliant thing to be around.
Yeah, because we both share some friends on the scene, as it were, Patty and Joe, and aren't they just amazing? You know,
Oh,
empowering. It's just, I feel like I class them as almost best friends, because you become, you know how each other works. You know that you're gonna have to food prep. You can allow time out in off season. All of the things that you have to explain to people in your normal life that don't bodybuild, you don't have to explain any of that, of course.
And you know, Patty heard the joy when I won the FitX. She like flew backstage. She was like honestly, her excitement and that, like you would think she'd won the show, and that is just how genuine she actually is. That she's so happy,
Yeah.
For anybody who she cares about.
Yeah, and you make lifelong friends in this sport, and you know, like ourselves, we've only met once, but we speak over Instagram and things like that, and you do class people as friends. And sometimes, you know, I've said it many times, a lot of my friends that I've made through the sport are actual what I'd class as true friends, compared to potentially people that I've met throughout my life. And I think we had that conversation at the show.
We did. And you know, it's I think people maybe just don't get it, you know, like they maybe just don't get why you want to do this, or they just maybe don't get the diet because they can't do it, or they would like to do it, but they're just not able to do it. Like you need the support of your family and your friends. And, you know, my family is so supportive. My kids love it, come to every show. Like my partner, we train together, we prep together, we eat together, you know, like, and it's brought us close together as a family as well.
Yeah. How do you find sort of when you've had to step away from relationships because of your life choices? Are you at a place where you can see it for what it is, or do you still find that quite hard when, you know, you part ways with someone?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, I feel like this is such a selfish sport. And when you are in prep, I feel like I've maybe lost contact with a few people because of that, because you have got to get up and you've got to, you know, do your cardio. Everything is so organized and planned and meticulous that you have to carry it all out, that sometimes you forget about the outside world. But for me, I've always been the one there for everybody. I've always been the one that'll help people organize things, you know. But I find this is my time now. This is the time for me. I'm 42, and I feel like I deserve to have this time for me. And you know, I've got the backup of my partner who supports me with it. You know, he loves me doing it. He you know, not how many men really do want the partners getting on stage in a bikini. Like, you know, that it is a struggle for them, but he doesn't have that issue. He is so supportive. The kids share my journey, you know, like I'm friends with them, on their friends on Instagram, like the mum stood in a bikini and stuff. You know, you've got to get the sport to kind of, so if anybody doesn't like it, then they can just not be a part of it, really.
Yeah. And would you say that, because I've certainly myself during preps, it makes my vision clearer into what I want, and it clarifies what I should be putting energy into, because of course when you're deep in a deficit, the energy is less available. So it sort of forced me to sum up, actually, is this person worth me investing energy into them?
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same as well. I just think, you know, if people don't want to make an effort, then, you know, they're not really worth your time. If they can't be supportive of what your journey is, they're not worth being a part of your journey, are they, really?
Yeah, for sure. And I know that you resonated when I did the pod on my story, because we share some similarities there. Would you say that bodybuilding has helped you almost find yourself?
Yeah, 100%. Yourself, I come from a really kind of mixed up kind of family. I really feel like the makeup, like my dad wasn't part of my life. My mum's been a massive part of my life. And I just feel like, you know, having an out of control life in the past has not been ideal.
Yeah.
And I think now having control of this is a much better focus for me.
Yeah, and utilizing your energies, especially I guess with the ADHD, and that would
Yeah,
explain, you know, how you've sort of committed to things and then pulled out, as it were, because it becomes overwhelming and you've got those available energies to sort of flip from one thing to another.
yeah,
Whereas I feel like sort of in a way, bodybuilding offers variety in regards to you're doing the gym, you're doing steps, you're doing food, you're doing posing practice. There's lots of things to keep your mind occupied, isn't there?
yeah, exactly. And I think it's having the focus on all of those things, you know, like it's like for me, like I can pick up my phone and I can be like, all right, I need to order a new pair of gym shoes. And then I can be on my phone for like 2 hours. I haven't ordered the gym shoes, but I'm probably on Instagram, on Facebook, on this. Like I'm just totally distracted by it. But when you've got to get them steps in, you've got to get that cardio done, you've got that food to prep, you know what
Yeah.
you're doing and where you are.
Gives you that sort of, I guess, tunnel vision. And do you find that you're able to carry that into off season? You said your first off season was quite hard. Has it been easier your second time round?
Yeah, I'm only just over 3 weeks post show now, and I have got my food plan in place, training plans in place. Obviously, I know now that I've got to put that weight back on.
Yeah.
I know that it's healthy to have a bit more weight back on. You know, like you get your cycle back, you get, you know, all that kind of thing. And I feel like having the focus this time round is a lot easier than it was last time, because I know what you call those post show dumps.
Yeah.
I know what that is now, where I didn't know what that was last time.
Yeah, it's such a scary place. When I think back to, you know, first couple of seasons, it's like, blimey, you know, you literally don't know what to do with yourself, do you? And of course you just want to eat, and you know,
Exactly.
it's really tough. What sort of things have you had in place to negate that and keep you sort of on track, as it were, and feeling like you're still progressing?
Yeah. So we got the food plan. Calories have been going up slightly each week. Just the carry on with the check-ins, weekly check-ins, which I think you need those check-ins. You need the accountability. You know, like this week, I've enjoyed a lovely day out with Joanna. Went up the mountain, came back down, sandwich and cake, you know, but I didn't feel guilty about having that sandwich and cake because I'd walked up the mountain, I'd prepped, like I'd done 8 shows in 10 weeks. So I really had stuck to the plan, kept in shape that all that time. And I just think you don't want to restrict yourself if you after the show and feel guilty about it. You've just got to get back to the plan and keep your good food going in, and
Yeah.
as well as having treats, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. Like you mentioned there with going off with Joe up the mountains and whatever, I like to do that, you know, this type of thing where I have a fairly high expenditure day, but then I enjoy, you know, a really nice meal that is probably going to be above my set calories, but I don't feel bad for it because I've done more expenditure. I've had a nice
Yeah,
time, and I sit down and I create memories with someone that I love. There's no
exactly.
better feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I had loads to do, Christmas shopping to do, and but like Joe was like, no, I'm going to plan something nice. We're going to do this, and I thought, you know what, you can't buy that kind of feeling, can you? Going out and taking your mind off things, getting fresh air, just making memories, really.
Yeah, for sure. What did you end up having? Did you say you had cake after?
Yeah, I had apple and cinnamon crumble and custard. Oh,
Oh,
it was so lovely. And a sandwich, like, which I don't really have bread in my plan that
yeah.
often. So that was nice. And it was just, you know, nice to sit down in a pub, because during prep, it's like, what can we do today? Oh, we'll go for a nice drink. Oh, I can't, I'm on prep. Oh, we'll go for a coffee. Oh, I can't, I can't, I'm on prep. Do you know, everything seems food related. You watch TV and there's like food on the TV, and food's everywhere, isn't it, when you're not allowed it?
Yeah, I always say this to people around me, I think sometimes as a bodybuilder, I think, especially, in a prep when it's been harder in previous years, I used to think, why am I so obsessed with food in a sense? But then when you actually look up, there's billboards everywhere. When you go in, like you say, in a coffee shop, if you're getting a coffee, everyone's talking about food. You're walking along, people are walking along eating food. And it's not necessarily that we're obsessed with food, but it is everywhere because of marketing. And then it's hard, it almost, I don't know about you, but I sometimes see something advertised and I think I really want that, but I don't actually like it. But suddenly I'm thinking, oh, I really want that.
I know. Well, I did something which I never ever thought I'd be able to do this prep, and it was I got back 7 days before my first show. I went on a holiday to Tenerife. Wow. 2 weeks before a show, and I was like, said to my coach, can I go? And she was like, yeah, if you think you can. So I took hardly any clothes, packed a suitcase full of broccoli, a George Foreman and other bits and bobs, cooked all my food, got all my steps in, went to a gym, didn't have one lick of an ice lolly, one bit of ice cream. And you know what? It was the easiest week than being at home, even just with the heat, the walking, the chicken, chicken and salad. And like, some people might think, I can't go on holiday for a week, but it was actually easier than being at home.
Yeah, I found this, when I went to Croatia 6 weeks out, and, I just took some stuff that you can, like you mentioned there, I took like packets of rice and things that are okay to travel abroad. And then while we were out there, we sort of looked at some supermarkets and things. And I found, like, I lost weight. I was eating more because it was a deload week, and my coach said to have some more to try and sort of fight the diet fatigue, as it were. And I came back, I felt really good. I felt refreshed, and I felt ready for a 6-week push.
Yeah, exactly. And that just really motivated me. And like, I was walking around Tenerife, like, and you don't actually see what you look like yourself, do you? And like, my husband said, like, everybody was like looking at you, and he was like walking around, and I was like oblivious to this because, like you say, like, I'm not one for like posing on the beach, like, I walk around quite shy.
Yeah.
And everybody was looking, and I looked in great condition. But also, when you get that lean, you don't feel nice in clothes. You don't feel, you're drawn in. It's a hard thing as well, because you don't feel right in your clothes or how you look, do you?
Yeah, I think you sometimes forget until you get to the tail end of prep, if your aim is to bring, real condition, as it were.
Yeah.
Actually how you do look drawn out. You do look like my nail lady. I always joke with her because she said, oh, your hands are like old granny hands. And, she sort of takes the piss in a jovial way because I know her well, but you forget what you look like from an outsider's point of view. And people don't see people walking around, especially females, with a 6-pack.
No, I know.
It's not normal, but I think that we're always thinking, oh yeah, no, it's normal. I want to have a 6-pack all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. And like, I was at the pool, and people are coming up wanting photographs with me, and like my kids like, oh my god, you're famous. And I was like, they like couldn't believe that I was like in that shape on holiday. But like it was nice, but I didn't actually feel that nice in my clothes. So it was.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it? Because also, obviously, your energy is compromised. So you haven't got, I don't know the best way to describe it. You sort of lose the zest for life a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Definitely. And it is hard. And this prep, I didn't actually have that where you can't put one foot in front of the other. I never got to that stage this year. Last year was like really difficult. Yeah, we kind of must have got it right. And then after I did my 6th show, I think it was, and then I got COVID. It was post the NFM UK. I did the FitX on the Saturday, and then I did the NFM UK on the Sunday, came home, got COVID on the Thursday, and I had the PCA Worlds And I was like, oh my God. So I had no gym for 10 days, no walking for 10 days. I did the NAC competition, and I did not look, I shouldn't have done it, but my son done a guest pose. He's only 11. And he done a guest pose on stage. And I was like, I want to share the day with him. So anyways, the more stressed I got, the more my body just did not respond. And I was just so smooth. I just didn't look right. But anyways, I did the show. I wouldn't say I don't regret doing the show, because I think I learned something from it. I learned how much stress can affect your body.
Yes.
I learned how much illness can affect your body, because I just could not get rid of the water. It was just sat there. That was on the Sunday, and then the following Sunday I did the PCA Worlds and I actually won. So I was like my physique was like actually two different physiques from one week to the next. Like I looked, and I was the best condition that in the PCA Worlds I was, and even though I'd had 10 days off training, 10 days off cardio, I was my best condition at the Worlds.
That's very relevant you say there about rest, because I think as bodybuilders we can often neglect that in regards to, we're always wanting to, especially in a prep, do more activity, do more steps, train more, train harder. And actually controlling stress, I've found over the years, makes a remarkable difference to how you look.
Yeah, 100%. The more I stressed, the worse I was getting. And it was like I say, I don't regret, because I now realise that like you need that calmness, you need that relaxation time before a show. You can't let people stress you out. You've got to say no to things, like it's like, and that was a good thing for me, even though I didn't look my best. I still enjoyed the show. And like I say, I came in at my best and won the Worlds the week later. So
I'm sure you'd agree there's many lessons to be learned in this sport. And I think that sometimes, even if those lessons are covered up as a bad experience, as it were, they're still extremely valuable, because it's not all about placing. It's not all about, every stage experience being the best, because that's not reality. In life, we face many challenges. And I think that it's very hard when you do become successful in the sport to not think that you should win every show.
Exactly. And I think like this year I've had 4 regional wins, 2 British titles, 1 gold, 1 silver, a world title and 2 pro cards. And I'm like, next season is not going to be like this. It's a one-off, like I literally did not ever believe that I could achieve that in one season, but I did. And it's you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You could go and get injured and you maybe not do this next year, but like for me, I've achieved something. It's helped me believe in myself that I can achieve these things. And like that's why when you asked me to come on this show, I thought I'm going to tell my story, because like to inspire other people who may not think they're able to do things. Anything is possible, really, isn't it?
For sure. And also, I think that people forget you don't have to be a certain age or a certain ability to start something, to, try to go out your comfort zone, try and do something quite remarkable. And if that's starting with committing to a diet, seeing how you get on, it might even be that you do something like a photo shoot prep.
Yeah, exactly.
And all the life skills that you learn from bodybuilding, it's incredible, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And it's like I was listening to your podcast about last week when you were saying about how many people actually start this journey. That would be interesting to know how many people, because like in your category in bikini, it's like the star of the shows, like the stage is just full. You're never gonna have just a small amount of bikini girls, are you? It's very popular. Whereas in trained figure, like you're literally gonna just have sometimes 2, 3, 4 people. But it's like you said last week, how many people started out to get on that stage,
Yeah,
like,
for sure. I love sort of reflecting on that in regards to like Delif said, you know, it's not actually when you say, oh, I placed 5 out of 9 or something, actually you've probably placed 5 out of 39, because actually people commit to a prep and then the dropout rate is extremely high. And then also, you know, sometimes it might be 1 week before or the day before, you know, you never know, like we said, what's going to come up in life. People deal with stuff that comes up and they're just a week out and they can't do the show. So, you know, to even stand on stage is a massive achievement, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's like, whatever you come, like for me, yeah, having all those wins this year has been like brilliant, but like the most important thing has been my journey, my family sharing that journey, the support, the friends that I've met, do you know, like people's support. It just, that means more than any trophy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like those lifelong friends that you gain, and you know, the level of understanding and empowerment you can get from the right people. It helps you give off the vibe to attract those people as well. And you know, it's just so many funny, quirky things that happen in this world as a bodybuilder. And I think we sometimes forget actually how surreal our lifestyles are as bodybuilders compared to normal life.
Oh, exactly. I know. And it's like we are the minority. There isn't many people that can actually, you know, do that. And like my husband always says, we're a bit like the SAS, really, aren't we? Do you know? Only so many people make it, and it's like it's true. Do you know? I know it's like you go to the shows and there's hundreds of competitors, but there's millions of people in the world. If it was that easy to do, everybody would be doing it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a it's a remarkable achievement to be able to stick to this all the way through and get on stage, but also the achievements that come off the back of that in regards to where you're evolutionizing your mind. You know, I bet it surprised you how much you could psychologically improve in regards to committing to a prep.
100%. I've never had any self-control my whole life. I've always, you know, I never thought I could do it, but I just kind of kept thinking. I think the more you see the changes, when you're getting up and you've got a different vein, a different line, you know, that's what keeps you going. And like I said, just I would never have got on stage at one time. It would have been like I would never have spoke like this, you
Yeah.
know. But like I say, everything you've got to improve in life, you've got to just go out of your comfort zone. I think, yeah, so
Yeah. And it takes guts to do that, you know. And also, you mentioned earlier saying no. Even that in itself, a lot of us, like both of us, have come from that sort of background of all our lives trying to please other people. To the first time you say no, it's like, fucking hell, I've just said no to someone to, you know, because it's something I didn't want to do.
exactly. And you know, sometimes it's like you've got so much going on, and it's like when she said about baking those cakes for her friends, do you know what I mean? And then in the end it was like she had to say no, because you've got to put yourself first, because if you're not right, you can't help anybody else. And I think sometimes every life spirals out of control, doesn't it? And you kind of have got to rein it back in.
Yeah, for sure. And how have you found this post show in regards to your body changing and coming away from being stage lean, as it were?
Yeah, I'm carrying a bit of water at the moment, just with a bit like having a few treats and stuff. But I kind of like, my coach is really good. Like I've done my check in, and she's like, you know, I'm not gonna go mad at you. Like everybody does things differently. You've done so well. You've been so like, you know, for every week I go to work, and my customer like who bakes every week is like, do you want a cake? And I'm like, no. And I've like for 20 weeks I've never had a cake. And then this week she was like, are you gonna have a cake? I was like, yeah. And she was like, which kind would you like? I said, I'll have a bit of each. And she had three different boxes. And I was like, I'll have a trio of desserts today. But I just thought, you know, I've enjoyed that, and I've said no for the whole time, and I'm proud of saying no. And I'm saying yes because I can.
But also, you can be proud for saying yes to be able to embrace, you know, normal life in inverted commas.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, you know, it is hard losing that 6 pack, and it is hard losing those lines. But yet last night, like my husband, we were training and like we trained together and we were doing rack pulls and he had like 30 on each side and he was like, should I take 10 off you? I said, no, I'll give it a go. And I'd like counted and he'd done 8 and I was like, I'd done them. I could see him out the corner of my eye moving further round. And he was like, oh my God, how did you do that? I said, it must have been the cake.
This is what me and Matt are always like, fueled by donuts.
Exactly. And it just, you know, just getting that, like, you kind of have to take the focus off losing weight onto the strength. And I think, you know that by lifting heavier, by, you know, being more strict, you're going to gain for your next year, you know. So it's kind of like you've just got to move your focus into a different
yeah
it's
such a strange feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it is when you put your pajamas on and they're not hanging off you like they were and they're a bit tighter and, you know, you just feel it is a difficult process, but I think it will get better each time that you do it. It's a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I remember a few weeks ago when my mum watched me eat a blueberry muffin that she brought me, a bit like your customer that came in. She keeps saying, are you allowed this? Are you allowed this? And it's something that she always gets me. And honestly, the joy in her face to watch me eat this blueberry muffin, and it almost took me back a bit. And I thought, bloody hell, you know, it must be hard her watching me pursuing, you know, I lost like nearly 25 kilos in this prep. It must be very hard for her to watch that. And like your husband, you know, watching you continuously go for this lean look, and then for them to be able to something so novel, it's like it's so nice. It's such a cherished memory, isn't it?
No, and the good thing is like he hasn't done a bodybuilding competition for about 20 years, and so we've been together for 18 years, and he just started back at the gym himself last year. So we've rekindled like something in our relationship after 18 years. We're enjoying training together. We're enjoying eating similar foods. He's been dieting while I've been dieting. He lost 3 stone because he wanted to get rid of all his old kind of fat and start to build up to hopefully compete again next year. So we're hoping that we can maybe do some show together. I don't know how diet together will go. We might actually like fall out a few times.
Really,
no, really rekindle something in our relationship, you know, and that's, you know, 18 years, you're finding something fresh between yourselves, and you're spending time doing cardio, you're spending time going to the gym together, you know, and then we have our treat days together, and it's like, it's just such a lovely, refreshing thing to feel.
Yeah, it's so nice. Like, I really love that part of it, because it sounds like you're the same to Matt and I. We don't compete against each other, we empower each other.
Exactly, that's exactly like us. And you know, like in this house, the 3 kids, one of them doesn't live at home and she's just not into the gym at all. And then I've got 2 boys and they're both into bodybuilding. We've got a couple of mirrors in the house, and I look around and there's always someone posing in the mirrors. Like,
I love that.
Doing double bicep or doing the posing, and like, you know, I'm able to walk in and say, you know, nobody's getting sick of me doing the posing because we're all doing it. But it's good because he criticizes, you know, if I'm in, he comes in the bedroom with a coffee, gets me up, come on, get your cardio done, you know. It's like,
it's so cool, isn't it? Like, I always say this, we had a friend stay, well, he's a client but a sort of good friend as well, and he's like, oh, I love staying at your house, and he calls it the prep house because like it just, the fridge is full of like your standard protein things, all your micros, and then there's like bagels on the side, and everything's just, it works in flow. And I never want to take that for granted with Matt and I, because like yourselves, we're sometimes, you know, I'm doing my check-in, he's doing posing in the mirror, and it's really normal.
exactly, that's what we're like. It's like not actually not normal to like look down the hallway and somebody doing a pose and like, but it's good that you can do it as a family or as a couple, or because if you haven't got that support network around you, it must be really difficult to compete, to go through prep alone.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you work as? Do you work in a fitness environment?
No, no, I don't. I'm a cleaner, so I clean in people's houses. I clean in glamping pods, so just a
Oh,
self-employed cleaner. So yeah, but that's I kind of that's fits in good for me because I am not an organised timekeeper. Do you know? So it's kind of like like that was one of the things we'd have the inattentive HD and I've ADHD, and I've never really been able to stick to a proper job where you have to be there 9 till 5 and stuff. I've got to work around that, and the kids are take up so much time. So,
mm.
obviously, like when I was needing a nap in the afternoon, I could have a nap in the afternoon. Like that's what you've got to do, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So would you say that your sort of exposure to external pressure is quite minimal in regards to, like there's office workers at prep and there's so much confrontation.
Yeah.
Do you experience any of that in other areas?
No,
No,
no.
ideal.
I work on my own, and like I said to you about doing the 3 hour podcast, because popping my earphones in someone's house and cleaning and tidying and doing all my job and having you to listen to, it's like you don't feel alone, because like at this time of year everybody's going on the Christmas parties with the offices. Well, I work alone, so I haven't got that. I'm self-employed, so having somebody with you kind of keeps you from being lonely, really. So
Yeah, there's so much to be said in regards to that because again, I work from home generally and go to the gym and do the bodybuilding lifestyle. And actually, like you mentioned earlier, with going for a walk with Joe and her sort of saying, no, we're going to organize something, you can sort of isolate yourself in a way, can't you?
100%. And I think as well, like I do suffer with anxiety, and I have suffered with anxiety, and I do have low moods just with over the years. It's more to do with PMT really over the years. And so I have maybe a good week, a bad week, 2 normal weeks, like a lot of people do. So I feel like, it's just nice to.
It's almost exposing yourself to social scenarios, isn't it?
Exactly, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy to not. And I think like yourself being anxious, you can gain even more from this journey if things like stepping on stage. I bet you never thought you'd do that half
Oh,
naked.
never. I never in a million dreams did I ever feel like I could step on stage. I just didn't ever think that I would ever do it. But then I don't let people down. So, and I try to tell my kids not to let people down. So once I said I was stepping on stage, I had to do it. I couldn't not back out of it, because I don't I wouldn't let myself down, and I wouldn't like people to think, oh, she never done that. So, that was kind of the way to get through and get on stage. And then once I got up there, that was it. Like this year, I just didn't want to not be up there. And I look at photos of myself and I think, my God, is that really me? Like I look so happy up there. I don't look uncomfortable. I look naturally
Yeah. Like you're meant to
happy.
be there.
Exactly, yeah. And my coach, like, she's been to my shows, and like she says, you just look so happy and natural, and just be yourself, and like.
Yeah, it's so nice. It's really nice for me when I work with clients and just, but working on dieting and where that goes, the evolution. And when someone starts to believe in themselves, there's something so precious about that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that for me, like, is one thing that's just brought me so much happiness, that like I've actually found something that, and just to to complete something from the start to the end, like it then gave me motivation to go and do something else and something else. You know, and like today, like when you asked me to do this, and my first initial reaction was to say no. And then I thought, why are you saying no? Like, it's just, you're talking about you.
Yeah.
Why say no? And plus, that's another something ticked off your boxes. Do you know, you've done something out your comfort zone again. And
Yeah.
it you know, to turn down the opportunity,
Yeah.
you know, you've got to keep saying yes, haven't you?
Yeah, and it is
In
hard.
that way, for yourself, you can't say yes to people all the time, but for yourself, you've got to keep saying yes.
Yeah, for sure. What would your sort of biggest bits of advice be to someone that is looking at their first prep, and, you know, the things that you thought about, and, you know, am I going to be good enough? Can I step on stage? What sort of things went through your mind when you actually committed to the prep?
I just think you've just got to believe in yourself. You've just got to think that you can. You've got to, I think, you know, when I was laid backstage resting before the world, and I laid there and I thought, you know, you've got a chance to win this, and talking to yourself, and, you know, and I think, you know, the more you talk positively to yourself, positive things do happen. And I think that is something that I'm starting to find, you know, that it does work if you be positive. Negativity does breed negativity, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Like we said earlier about giving off the positive vibes to gain the positive vibes, you know, it's, there's so much in life that can bring you down. There's so much negativity that flies around, and this can be in social groups, or this can be on the TV. You know, I don't watch the news, I don't read newspapers, things like this, because, you know, the world's in the shit most of the time. There's never reports of the good things. So you almost need to find that yourself. And I think that, you know, being a bodybuilder, whether that's prep, off season, you can find good in most days, because of course you complete a workout, you hit your set target, you do your food prep, you eat your macros, all of these things. It's daily wins, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And like me getting diagnosed with ADHD at age 40, like age 41, I went through a grieving process of, what if I had been diagnosed when I was younger? What would I have had a better job? Would I had a better paid job? Would I have done this? Would I have done that? But we can't change the past. We've just got to work on the future and work on yourself. And, you know, if you do think that you have got something, whether it be ADHD, autism, whatever, anything, you know, seek advice about it, because the answers really do help you to move forward. And I think that's what happened with me. Like, I've really embraced the fact that I've missed out on so much, and I've put my focus onto this, and I'm now bringing positive things to myself.
Yeah, because there's so many tools as well that you learn as a bodybuilder. Not
Yeah.
only, you know, like we've already mentioned, saying no, but you just learn about what makes you happy, what gives you purpose, and, you know, it forms your identity. But I also feel like outside of being a bodybuilder, you can be a little bit more stern and clear on what you want to achieve as a person as well.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And just like, just, you know, keep your circle, the people in your circle that's gonna lift you up, you know, rather than bring you down.
Yeah, for sure. Like all those moments that you have, it's so cool. Like you say about Patty coming backstage, and
Oh,
you just can't, like, she's perfect for that, because she is a proper cheerleader. Like she said to me the other day, I haven't done well myself in regards to placings, but I've made some lifelong friends, and it's just so touching, isn't it?
that gives me goosebumps as well
Yeah.
there, because, you know, she comes on stage and she looks amazing, and her, you know, she just is an incredible woman, and she just brings that happy feeling. And just, you know, like, that is so many people backstage, like everybody. It's like as if backstage is sometimes the better place than on stage sometimes, isn't it? Like, you have such a great time.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll resonate with the message that we always put across on the pod. Have fun on show day.
Exactly. Make memories, speak to people, follow people's journeys, and, like, yeah, just make it the best day possible, because you're only on stage for that short amount of time, but you've got all day around those people.
Yeah. It's amazing. And in regards to the message in this pod of you gaining self-belief from bodybuilding, is there any other things that you've sort of delved into that you never thought you would since becoming a competitor?
No, not as much, but I am kind of getting a bit more looking into different directions and thinking I can't, where I've always said I can't, I'm kind of thinking I can.
Yep.
So, I'm kind of looking for new directions, maybe in like work or business opportunities, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
for sure. It can open up so many doors. Even you might do things that you don't even know that you've done that you wouldn't have done before.
yeah,
And it's that, I guess, the prep, where you lead into the low body fat levels, the high levels of fatigue, and all of those things that come with a prep, you realize yourself, wow, I can do something that is incredibly hard, and you get awarded for that. You've gained accolades in the sport, and then it's like, what else can I do?
exactly. Yeah, I think that's it. And I think the more you start to believe in yourself,
Yeah,
the more you think, I think you've just got to keep telling yourself, I can, I can, I can. Because the more that you say, I can't, you talk yourself out of it, don't you?
yeah, for sure. And there's nothing more that's going to expose you, I guess would be the right way to say it, than standing on stage half naked.
Exactly. I
And
know.
and when you reflect on your stage shots, I'm sure you get the same. You look, like you mentioned earlier, and you go, is that me? And you continually go, wow, like I did that.
Exactly. I know. Yeah. Like, I look and I think I look so happy. Look at, I actually have got my body into that shape, like it's really, you sometimes just think it's not really true, don't you? That you actually were that lean and you looked that
Yeah,
amazing.
shredded.
Yeah.
Do you find that did you ever sort of suffer with negative self-talk in regards to, having the ADHD, having the lack of control over things and sort of coming away from stuff quite easily? Would you say that bodybuilding's helped your self-talk in regards to empowering yourself?
100%, because I was always negative. I found over the years, like, I suffered with really bad skin, so
Yeah,
I would hold my hair over my face, and I wasn't really confident,
yeah,
and I feel like it's really brought out. I wouldn't say I would go into a pub and be like, oh my, and be really confident, kind of. I'm not that kind of person, but it has brought me confidence in a different way.
yeah. To have a bit more sort backing yourself a bit more, I guess.
Yeah,
You
think,
know,
yeah,
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 realizing you can be good at something is what I
exactly.
found.
Think,
Mm,
yeah, and like over the years, like I said, when I got my ADHD diagnosis, I said to the guy who was speaking to me about it, and I said, I've always felt thick, and I know that sounds like not really a nice thing to say, but I kind of thought, I'm just thick. I just can't get this. I can't grasp this. But now I've got the answers that my brain doesn't process the information, or it does, but I can't get it out
yeah,
properly.
yeah, yeah, for sure, because it's a condition, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And I think, I can't get my head round the macros. I'm glad Amanda, my coach, she tells me what my macros are and stuff. And I like to be told, because I just, I can't get my head round that. And anybody that hasn't got a coach and is struggling, the accountability, doing it properly as well and not doing it half-assed, like, really makes a difference, because your physique can change so much by doing it properly.
Yeah, For sure. And also, this is why I always say about people having multiple consults and doing a bit of research, even reaching out to coaches' clients to see what their experience is, because unfortunately, this industry isn't, I don't know what the word, isn't monitored.
No.
So you do get, coaches out there that maybe aren't right for you, or aren't offering that bespoke individual service. And like yourself, if you need certain things, you need clearer things on your macros, you need the training plan, you want it to be laid out so you know exactly what to do, you're going to need to look into that rather than just get a coach because someone else has. Take time.
Or take the time and find the right person for you. Do you know, like Amanda has got a lot of clients, but for me in this prep, my first season with her, I feel as though I'm her only client because she gives me that much time. Do you know, like she puts that much time in, and she probably does that with every client. And I think that's what you need. You don't want someone who's just getting in touch with you now and again. You want someone who's bang, 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 right there every time that you need to speak to them.
Yeah, and also building that level of, what it's like in a prep, losing your period, say, as an example, or not going to the toilet, things like that. You need to be able to be open and honest with
Oh,
your coach.
yeah. And it's like no good hiding things. It's like this week when I've checked in, it was like, well, I've been a bit of a dick. I've had cake. My clients gave me cake. I've been up for a mountain walk and I've had cake, but do I feel bad about it? And I put no. And be honest, I told her, because she can't then say to me, right, let's reduce your calories for a few days to get that water back off, blah, 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 if I'm not true and honest with her. And it's no good just saying, I won't check in this week because I've ate loads. Like, it's just going to spiral out of control. Just having a coach that you can be honest and upfront with, that's another.
Yeah. If things like that, it's not a bad thing that you've been able to go and enjoy a bit of cake. But as bodybuilders, we're guilty of thinking, oh no, I'm not a proper bodybuilder. I've had a bit of cake. I shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. And actually, there's nothing wrong with having some food that you desire and enjoying and having memories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's like she said afterwards, she said, as long as you're getting your good food in, you can still have bad food as well, but you need to have the good food, to make the gains. You can't just skip out all the good food. You can have both together.
Yeah, that's such a relevant point. Like I always say, I always have my micro. So if I'm having like a sweet treat, I always have strawberries on the side and a protein shake with it. And it
Yeah.
seems, to normal people that might seem ridiculous, but for me, I want to hit my protein. I want to have some micros there, and it just gives me much more enjoyment.
Exactly, yeah, 100%. You're not just going to have cake for every meal and not have your chicken, and stuff like that, eh?
Yeah, for sure. So before we wrap up, I have to ask you, what would your biggest bit of advice be to someone listening that is maybe considering becoming a bodybuilder or is a first timer? Have you got any bits of information you could share?
I would just say, get yourself, if you're needing a coach, find yourself a good coach, do your research, find someone who you can resonate with, who you can feel that you can be honest with, who you can send your checking pictures with your hairy legs and your, what have you.
Yeah.
And feel comfortable about it. You need to feel comfortable with your coach and just try and stick to the plan. Be honest with yourself. If you go off track, don't let it go on for weeks and days. Just, wipe your clean slate over it and move on and, get back on track. Don't try not to feel guilty about it, because I think that's one thing that does eat you up, doesn't it? You can feel so guilty and like you're not going to put a pound on by eating a bit of cake. You just have to not go for another bit of cake and another bit of cake.
Yeah, for sure. That's a very good bit of advice, actually, especially at this time of year with off season and what have you. It's so important that if you do have something that you weren't planning on having, you had it for a reason, and it's okay to do that. And then, go back to your macros, go back to accountability and get back on track.
Yeah, definitely. And just, just practicing your pose and just use it as a time to work on yourself. And like you say, just enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah, for sure. What a way to end the pod. Enjoy this lifestyle.
Exactly. Enjoy the lifestyle, enjoy looking good, enjoy feeling strong, enjoy looking good, enjoy feeling strong. Just keep it rolling.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if anyone resonates and wants to follow you on Instagram or send you a message, is that the best place to reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook as Kezza Macdonald, and then on Instagram, I never know my name actually on Instagram.
Don't worry, you're not first.
Everybody the same.
Yeah, some people go, oh, wait, let me just check.
I know it's KMac28_28. So you can check me out on there and follow my journey.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll be open to message if anyone wanted to reach out.
Oh, 100%, especially, and I know ADHD isn't a part of this, but I have inspired people, have messaged me and said, how did you get diagnosed with that? Like, and I would love to help anybody if they think they might, and I can give them directions on, how to go about getting a diagnosis or whatever.
Some help. Yeah, no, that's really nice of you, because you never know who's going to listen to a podcast, and if you can touch someone and really resonate, it's such a nice.
I'd 100%, because when I come out and told people that I had this, I had one woman who messaged me and asked me about it, and then she just put a post on the other week and said how grateful that she was. It changed her life getting that diagnosis. So just by sharing my story, my journey, if you help just one person,
it's
amazing. Yeah, but lovely to speak to you, and thank you so much for inviting me. It's an absolute honor to be on, and maybe we've gone to the 3 hours now. I'll be listening to myself now talking.
Thank you so much. I think it's going to be a really nice episode for people to, especially, first timers and coming into this and gaining that self-confidence through bodybuilding. It's such an important message to send out. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, and we'll speak to you soon, my G.
Yep, I'll speak to you soon, Jamigo.
See you, Jamigo.
Bye.
Bye.